Breathing in freestyle shouldn't be hard because your body already knows how to do it. What makes it difficult is when your technique gets in the way. If you lift your head, your hips will sink. If you bend your neck, your body wobbles. And if your timing is off, your rhythm falls apart. So in today's video, let's break down the actual mechanics of proper freestyle breathing, so you can stop fighting the water every time you turn your head for a breath. First, let's define what we mean by a perfect breath. It comes down to two simple things. You get a full breath in, and your breathing disturbs your stroke mechanics as little as possible. And if you can do both at the same time, full breath, minimal distortion, congratulations, that's a perfect freestyle breath. Now, let's look at how to actually make that happen. But one quick note before we dive in. Mechanics are just one part of the equation. There's a deeper, more powerful layer. The unconscious, primitive reflexes tied to breathing at the boundary between air and water. Because knowing how to breathe is just one thing. Actually doing it consistently, calmly, and under pressure is something else entirely. It requires you to feel fundamentally safe and in control while breathing in the water. So if you find yourself struggling to integrate the techniques from this video, it might be that this deeper layer is holding you back. But luckily, there is good news for you. I've made a separate video on that very topic, and you'll find the link for that in the comments. And if breathing always feels like a fight, I highly recommend you watch it. And before we dive into the specifics, if you're someone who values understanding the bigger picture, how principles like this can guide your effective training, I've written a book just for you. It's called Training Principles for Master Swimmers, and it's all about helping adult swimmers train smarter. And you can download it for free from the link in the description. And now let's start with the most fundamental step in effective breathing mechanics. And it's probably one you've already heard before. Rotate the head only through the long axis when you breathe. That means no lifting, no side bending, just pure rotation along the long axis of your spine. And here's why that matters. Your head sits at the very top of your spinal chain, and any movement it makes gets amplified down the body. So if you lift your head vertically, your hips will drop. And if you tilt your head sideways, your hips sway in the opposite direction. And once that happens, you'll be forced to compensate, usually by pressing down and or sideways with your leading arm or twisting your body to stay balanced. All of that disrupts your stroke mechanics just to make room for that breath. And it doesn't really matter where you land in the age-old debate, whether you swear that looking slightly forward makes your pull stronger or your team gaze to the bottom. In any case, the principle remains the same. The less your head does anything but rotate, the fewer compensations the rest of your body needs to make. So keep it simple. You rotate, you don't lift. Just stay long and stay aligned. However, this is incredibly hard to accomplish unless you also nail the second principle, rotating the body out of the way. Because, and this is the key, you don't use your head to create space for the breath. Your body is supposed to do that job. And here's what I mean. As your body rotates around its long axis, which should happen naturally during each stroke, the recovery side shoulder rolls upwards and outwards. That rotation opens up a pocket of space. So now, instead of lifting or twisting your head to find air, you just turn it to neutral. The air is already there because your body is out of the way, so to speak. Contrast that with what often happens. The swimmer initiates the breath with the head, and the body follows behind. Now your torso hasn't rolled enough, it's still too flat, and that's more head rotation, or even worse, a head lift. And once you lift, your hips drop and the spiral begins. And the fix is simple. Just think of it this way. You start your catch, you go through most of the power phase of the pull, and only then, as the pulling arm finishes near the hip, you turn the head. That's when the body is at maximum rotation. That's your window of opportunity. And for many swimmers, this will feel like a late breath. But once you hit the timing right, it will feel amazingly easy to breathe. And there's a bonus built in. At the exact moment your hand finishes the pull, your velocity is at or near its peak. That means the bow wave in front of you is also at its highest, which lowers the water level right next to your head. It creates a small throw, a breathing pocket, and if you time it right, you barely have to rotate the head to catch that breath. And here's the thing, the faster you swim, the more pronounced that throw becomes. So done right, breathing actually gets easier the faster you go, and not harder. Now, that's the inhale. Two simple principles. Only rotate the head and turn it late, once the body has made room for a low breath. Now, let's move to the second part of the breath, returning the head back to line. And here's the thing, this part matters way less than the inhale, because if your alignment during the breath was solid, getting your head back down tends to happen naturally. But of course, there's always room to make everything even more efficient. And the key word here is speed. As soon as you take in your inhale, return the head to neutral, ideally before the recovering arm reaches its highest point. That way, you have realigned your body and you're ready for the next powerful pull on the opposite side. However, to get the oxygen in fast enough to return the head back quickly, you need to train your respiratory muscles. The faster and more forcefully you can inhale, the quicker you can realign and get back to swimming. And fortunately, every breath you take while swimming trains this, if you do it with intention. You see, the water adds pressure on your chest, creating natural resistance. The more deeply and rapidly you breathe in that environment, the more you condition those breathing muscles. So do not coast through your breathing. Use it as resistance training for your lungs. And after you get that head down to neutral, if you're sprinting, say 50 or even 100, and there's no next breath in sight, holding your breath after the inhale is what you should do. But for anything longer, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is exactly that, holding your breath once your mouth is back in the water. Instead, start exhaling immediately, ideally with a gentle, continuous trickle through the nose. How much you exhale is individual, but the key is to stay relaxed and rhythmical. And in theory, you want to release enough carbon dioxide to allow for a full gas exchange on the next breath, but without dumping so much air that you lose buoyancy. And exhaling slowly through the mouth isn't wrong, but for most swimmers, a nasal trickle is easier to control and better for staying aligned. And then comes the critical moment, as you move into the power phase of the pull and you're going to take your next breath. And your head should still be neutral. And right before you finish that pull acceleration, you should exhale forcefully. And you can think it like a karate chop, hi-ya, a short, powerful burst. And this forceful exhale not only enhances the acceleration of your pull, but it also primes your lungs for the next inhale. You've created a slight vacuum, an under pressure state, so when you rotate for the inhale, the air just practically rushes in back to your lungs. And that final exhale usually happens through the mouth. But I would not overthink it, because the goal is simple. You should breathe with intention. You stay focused on the rhythm, the alignment, and forceful timing, and let the breath support your movement and not disrupt it. Because in the end, one of the major goals of having a deliberate, rehearsed breathing pattern in swimming is to let your entire stroke kind of revolve around that breath. And when your subconscious feels safe enough to allow full gas exchange, your head naturally follows the body and you fall into a rhythm. A slow, relaxed trickle exhale, a sharp puff at the end, and a strong, deliberate inhale. And you will get an immediate performance boost, not just from getting more oxygen in, but also just from the deliberate breathing. Because in other sports, such as cycling, studies have consistently shown that simply becoming more aware of your breathing can improve performance actually more than a full year of traditional training. Now, swimming, because oxygen delivery is constrained by the technique, offers the same performance boost almost automatically if you train it intentionally. So let your breath become the rhythm that organizes everything else. All of this sounds good on paper, but how do you actually train these breathing mechanics in a way that doesn't force a one-size-fits-all model, yet stays grounded in the principles and allows you to find your own breathing style? And it's really quite simple. You use the same foundational drills I always preach on this channel, but this time with a laser focus on the breathing mechanics. And we'll start with the mother of all freestyle drills, zero kicking. And here's how you do it. You find the terminal extensions of both of your arms. One arm fully extended out front, the other near your hip where your pull would end. Holding this position, your body naturally rotates toward the extended arm, and that tilt mirrors the exact position you would be in during a normal breath while swimming. While keeping the kick rhythm steady, the arms frozen in place and the body line as unchanged as possible, you rehearse the head movement and the breathing. You'll quickly notice if you're not isolating it properly. Maybe your hip starts dropping or your front arm starts pressing the water for support. And these are all signs that you're not rotating just the head and that you're compensating somewhere else. But if you can hold the body still, you'll find your best way to rotate the head cleanly. And once you do, you can start playing around with how low you can take that breath, seeing just how little you need to move the head to get that breath in. And feel free to experiment. You don't even need to take a breath at first. You just turn the head and find your line and then reset. And sometimes you can turn your head for a breath and take that inhale a few times in a row, while keeping everything else completely locked. And if you feel your legs struggling to keep you afloat or steady, throw on a pair of fins, because this drill is about programming your nervous system to move into that breath more efficiently and reorganize the correct pattern, not about battling your own buoyancy. And once we get that isolated head movement down with zero kicking, the next logical step is to start moving the arms. And yes, there's always a progression, and that's true here as well. First, it's about nailing the head follows the body rhythm with an exercise called one-arm freestyle with the resting arm up. And you do that by beginning to kick in a balanced position, both arms extended in front. Then start to pull with one arm at either side. Make sure to remember to dip the body to the side of the pulling arm by rotating the body as you extend forward with the arm in preparation for the pull. And from that rotation, the pull begins and the body rolls to its opposite side in response, just like in full freestyle. And while you're doing that pull, keep your head stable. You don't move the head yet. Then the moment you feel that pulling arm snap to its end, that's your cue. Turn your head and inhale forcefully. As the arm exits the water, take your breath and then drop your head back down before the arm begins its forward recovery. So you realign just as the body rotates back to prone. And start slowly and chant a mantra in your head. Body, head, head, body. And say it aloud if needed. As you get comfortable, you'll start speeding up the pull and timing these movements more precisely. And at first, it might feel mechanical, like every new movement you rehearse, and that's completely fine. Because with repetition, the movements start blending together. The principle here is simple. Body rotation begins before the head turns for the breath, and then the head begins returning to the water before the body rotates back to prone. Body, head, head, body. And once that sequence becomes intuitive, your breathing is no longer a disruption. It's part of the flow. And once you're comfortable doing the one arm stroke with the resting arm up, it's time to move on. And the next step, naturally is the one-arm drill without the help of the extended arm, the resting arm staying down. And this is one of those corrective drills that teaches you by feel. If you're ready, the exercise itself will guide you into the right patterns without you thinking at all. And the easier version is breathing to the side opposite of your pulling arm. When it lands into the water and the arm extension forward turns your body and the head follows with a breath. But if you want a tougher challenge, breathe to the same side as your pulling arm. But try this only after you're comfortable with the other versions. Because if you lift or bend your neck or start turning your head too early, your body line will collapse. I guarantee you. And you'll find yourself coughing water out of your lungs. So only progress to this variation once you feel comfortable with the other versions. And there's more. The final step in the progression is full stroke swimming with both arms, but with a brief pause between every pull. And I call this opposition freestyle. And it's just like swimming, but as you snap into your zero position, pause for a moment to check your line and balance, and then you continue. Now, when it comes to breathing, this drill is ideal because the zero position is exactly where you should turn your head. And you start slow. As your arms reach their terminal extensions, keep your head stable and neutral. At the pause, your body is aligned. Then you turn your head, breathe, and immediately return it to alignment before your arms proceed. With practice, you'll blend these movements together. The head turn happens as you hit zero, the inhale flows into your arm recovery, and you're back in the line before your arm starts its descent back to the water. Slowly, the pause gets shorter, the rhythm gets tighter, and the timing becomes automatic. But here's the truth. Being able to breathe correctly in drills is one thing. Integrating that timing and rhythm into full freestyle where everything is moving constantly is a whole other beast. And that's why, whatever your level of advancement, you do need to train the breath while swimming your full freestyle. These drills will give you the awareness. The full stroke is where you actually apply it. In the end, that's what we're aiming for. Not to make this breathing thing complicated, but giving you a real sense of freedom. Freedom to take a full breath when you need it without it destroying your rhythm or forward momentum. Because breathing should never feel like a fight. It should be the most natural, relaxing part of your swim. And when your head starts rotating cleanly, your body moves out of the way and your exhale-inhale pattern aligns with your stroke and rhythm, then the breath becomes automatic. Now, you got the knowledge and a clear idea of what to work on. So head to the pool, test out these drills, play with the principles, and you'll start swimming and breathing more freely within just a few lengths. And if you want help with your breathing, refining your stroke, or even a complete overhaul of your swim training, check out the link in the description to apply for my one-on-one coaching. We'll start out with a free 30-minute Zoom call and take it from there. See you in the next video.